Hey YouTube, Kier Twig here, bringing you all my Elemental Hero Clayman Yugioh deck profile for November 2020. This was the most requested hero after the Elemental Hero Sparkman Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile that you all wanted to see. And it's a really interesting take because for Elemental Hero Clayman, we actually haven't gotten a lot of the support that we saw for this card in the anime. There was the Metamorphosis Elemental Hero Clayman Fusion monster that could be evolved, just like the Bubble Man one we received. There were plenty of spell cards. There was even one where Clayman was in a car. It might have been a trap card, but I do believe it was a spell card. And out of all of them, we've only gotten one card to support Elemental Hero Clayman. There are ones out there like Bubble Man and Avion that have multiple, spells and traps for them specifically, but sadly Clayman still only has one, but still one of the more awesome looking elemental heroes from the original series. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So being the main boss monster in the deck, we're running 3 Elemental Hero Clayman. This is the defensive Elemental Hero, having the least attack of all the original heroes, being 800, but the best defense out of all of them. It was Jaden's go-to defense monster in the series as well, always being played, I believe, in defense mode. I don't think Jaden even ever attacked with Clayman. It was always used as a fusion or just that defensive wall. But being the Elemental Hero Clayman deck, you want to run 3 of this card in it, just so you have consistency for all the other different fusions, because aside from not having many spell and trap card support, this card definitely did have a good amount of fusions, being able to fuse with, I think, the majority of all the original heroes aside from Elemental Hero Avion. And that decides our next number lineup, because we're running 1 of each of the Elemental Heroes. We're running 1 Elemental Hero Sparkman, 1 Burstinatrix, and 1 Bubbleman. I left Avion out of this list because there really isn't anything that Clayman fuses aside from Electrum, and we weren't running him in this version, just being too much of an investment card for, not much of the play style of the deck. So just 1 of each of these cards. You have plenty of ways to recycle or at least fill in the other spots for Elemental Hero Clayman in the deck, but for each one of these, Mudball Man, Rampart Blaster, and Thunder Giant, you have the required fusion materials with all these cards in the deck to use to fuse together with our main go-to monster being Elemental Hero Clayman. For some of the more additional hero search, we're running 3 Elemental Hero Stratos, along with being able to search out Clayman and all the other heroes we already spoke of. It also gives you spell and trap card destruction in the deck, which is a big plus for sure, because you want to invest in your fusion summons and not have any fear of your opponent messing up your plays. So I like the 3 Stratos. Even if you were to special summon it back from the graveyard, it's just that added bonus for sure. For more special summon options for our Link monsters, I also run 3 Elemental Hero Solid Soldier for the option of Elemental Hero Gaia in the deck as well. With Clayman being an Earth attribute monster, Gaia is very useful in the extra deck as well, but having the option to use Solid Soldier for it also, or just easy special summons from the hand onto the field to use for Link summoning. That's why we're also running the 3 of this card for consistency and special summoning cards out, whether they're not our original trio or just some of the additional support to help with special summoning cards. It's a big plus for sure. And I also run 3 Elemental Hero Honest Neos. This is the powerhouse. If you're ever going to attack with Elemental Hero Clayman, then your best bet is to do so with Honest Neos, bumping up its attack by 2,500 to hit over a good amount of cards you may see on the field for sure. I'm running 3 copies of this Solid Soldier and Stratos just for overall consistency. Clayman is still the boss monster of the deck, but definitely does need some backup because it plays the part of defense, but having more offensive capabilities come into hand with all of the other elemental heroes we run in the deck. I thought of running Blazeman for the deck. If that were the case, you could take out Solid Soldier to try out Blazeman or Honest Neos for that spot, but that comes down to player preference at that point also. And also copy the names of some of the heroes in the deck. I run 2 Elemental Hero Prisma. It's the reveal 1 fusion monster from your extra deck and send one of those fusion materials whose name is specifically listed from your deck to the graveyard, and this card's name becomes the sent monsters. So whether you have to copy Clayman or any of the other heroes that are specifically listed in the fusion, Prisma is a big support card for that, because not only does setting it up in the graveyard give you the miracle fusion play, it just leaves room for you to draw into more important cards in your main deck as well. And for some of the non-hero monsters I'm running in the main deck, I'm also running the 3 King of the Swamp, just more search power, polymerization especially, but being able to substitute this card for one of our fusion requirements, depending on what we want to fuse out to, is very vital with King of the Swamp altogether. Just the search power for polymerization, but if you have multiples of this in your hand, let's say you have Clayman, if you have this in Clayman, you have access to all the other different fusions you may want to go for in your extra deck as well. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run the 3 emergency call search power for any of the elemental heroes you want in the deck. If you open up Clayman and you want a specific fusion to go into, emergency call is a big plus for there, because then you're able to have the choice of which one you want to fusion summon out onto the field. And with our main boss monster being a normal monster, we want to see it special summoned onto the field plenty more for a lot of our different plays, which I'll go over at the end of the video. So running 3 Oversoul as well, just the easy special summon of a normal monster from your graveyard back onto the field. That includes elemental hero in its card name, so definite 3 of. But another 3 of is the polymerization. I thought of running dark fusion as a mix in the deck as well, by taking out 1 polymerization and adding in 1 dark fusion, just because elemental hero Clayman does have 2 evil hero fusion counterparts in the form of the evil hero Rampart Blaster and also Thunder Giant. Player preference once again. If you want to run those cards in the extra deck, you by all means can, because this is an elemental hero Clayman deck. Giving you access to all those different cards is a big plus for sure, but that's just if you want the space to run them also in the deck. And I also run the 2 Miracle Fusion with Elemental Hero Prisma, and also just after fusion summoning with, let's say, Polymerization, you have plenty of cards set up in your graveyard, and with Master Rule 5, you have the option to, summon them in the main monster zones. You can use the extra monster zone more of the time. I like to use them for the Link monsters, but being able to summon them in the main monster zone means you can get out Elemental Hero Rampart Blaster and also your Mudball Man in the same turn using these cards without having to rely on any Link monsters either. And I also run the 3 Fusion Deployment, one of my favorite cards when working on hero decks, honestly. Now, you reveal 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck one of those fusion materials whose name is specifically listed on that card. You cannot special summon from the extra deck except for fusions the turn you activate this card, and you go and activate it once per turn. But this is your go-to way to set up a lot of different fusion plays in this deck, being able to easily special summon out any of the resources you need and having plenty of other search power options in the deck, including Emergency Call, King of the Swamp, Prisma, you name it. You'll have plenty to rely on and be able to get out any of the fusions you want, particularly for your cards all together. For some of the 1-ofs in the deck, to finish off the spells, I run the 1 A Hero Lives, more special summon power by paying half your life. Most of the time I go for Stratos, but this is a Clayman deck, so you can even just, invest it in your main, hero to go into. 1 Reinforcements of the Army for more search power, and the special summon power we spoke of with Stratos from the graveyard comes in handy with Monster Reborn. Since you can't special summon Stratos with Oversoul, Monster Reborn's the next best thing, let's say, after you use it for a Link summon. And that's it for these spells. The only trap we are running in the deck is the only trap that was ever given support for Clayman in the TCG, and that is Clay Charge. With this card, when an elemental hero Clayman you control is targeted for an attack, even if it's face down, but reveal it to your opponent, destroy the attacking monster and that elemental hero Clayman, and inflict 800 damage to your opponent. So 800 damage is a big plus there for sure, but the best way to shine with Clayman is just to have the option to destroy your opponent's cards using the Clayman that you set up on the field along with the monster that was attacking into it. I usually like to use this if my opponent's going to attack into Clayman and they're going to take that damage. That's fine. Let Clayman be on the defensive for that one. But if they find a way to attack with a stronger monster over Clayman, then you can use this card to basically destroy that card and then going for that play right then and there for the burn damage, which could also make a big difference depending on what state you are in the game also. But that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I'm running 2 Elemental Hero Mudball Man. This is probably my favorite hero that fuses with Clayman art-wise. It was just so, amazing looking in the anime when Jaden first made it. It just popped out of the card in a very hilarious way. And he then lost to Zane, obviously, with the first time he summoned this card, thinking this could be enough for the defensive power against Cyber and Dragon. But nonetheless, it is still a great defensive power, being able to use this card with Bubble Man and Clayman for the fusion play. It doesn't have the best of attack, but like I said, it's a defensive card. Being able to send this card definitely difficult for a lot of different opponents to get over it in that play. That's why I am running 2 of it. If you were to decide to run the dark fusion play and you wanted to add in one of the evil hero counterparts for Clayman, you can take out one of the copies of Mudball Man or the next copy of cards that we're running in the deck. And I only have the one Bubble Man in the main deck, but you still have the option for King of the Swamp to fill in as one of the spots if you were to make this a second time, or even if you fuse with Bubble Man for the first one on the field and then have the Miracle Fusion play for the second copy also. And I also run 2 Elemental Hero Rampart Blaster, the same premise with Burstinatrix having the 1 copy in the Miracle Fusion play with this card, but needing Burstinatrix and Clayman to make this card. Also, while this card is in face-up defense position, this card can attack your opponent's life points directly, and you apply only half of this card's attack for that play. But with Honest Neos, it's that much more scary of a play, being able to have this card attack when this card, by discarding it, to target 1 hero monster and have it gain 2,500 attack. So putting that up to 3,500 is an immense more amount of damage that your opponent will be taking when hitting the damage with Rampart Blaster especially. And I also run the 1 Thunder Giant. When I was doing all the playtesting for the deck, I just had a lot more fun summoning out your Mudball Man and Rampart Blaster than Thunder Giant. It's why I'm only running the 1 copy. It does feel more fitting in the Sparkman deck altogether. This deck feels like a more defensive playstyle deck, which Mudball Man and also Rampart Blaster work better for. And that's why I decided just to run the 1 Thunder Giant. The Destruction Power does come in handy, but that's just my player preference at that point also. For some of the other hero spots, I run the 1 Vision Hero Trinity. It's more generic hero fusion that you can summon out for pretty powerful plays, just like Elemental Hero Sunrise, 1 Vision Hero Adoration. I run the 1 Great Tornado, so we have some fusion options with Stratos as well in the deck. The 1 Absolute Zero, I don't have Elemental Hero Gaia. I definitely need to order one at this point with all the hero decks I am making, but I would run Elemental Hero Gaia in the place of Absolute Zero. I just saw myself making it more and more with all the play testing, but I do also run 1 First of the Dragons, just with all the normal monsters we're running, to have a more offensive fusion monster to go into also. But if you wanted to run Gaia and keep all the other heroes, you could also take out First of the Dragons as that spot also. And for the Link monsters, I run 1 Extra Hero Wonder Driver, 1 Extra Hero Infernal Devicer, and 1 Extra Hero Dread Decimator for those spots, and the 1 Isolde Two Tails of the Noble Knight. This could be another spot to take out for the evil heroes if you wanted to keep the amount of Mudball Man that I was running in the deck, while still being able to keep all of the numbers together for your Link monsters and other fusion monsters. But I like the Isolde just for more search plays for our monsters also. As for some of my favorite plays to go for in the deck, we have the fusion option like I spoke of with your fusion deployment spell. Depending on what monster you have open up, if you activate your fusion deployment, you're revealing a fusion monster in your extra deck, which you have all the different Mudball Man options to go into. You can reveal your Rampart Blaster and then special summon out whatever card you need. Most of the time in this deck, I have plenty of search to get out the main boss monster, so I would summon a card like Elemental Hero Burstinatrix to the field, and then also have the Clayman option, which you don't have to normal summon the Clayman. You can always save that spot for another card in your hand. Like, let's say we have the Solid Soldier and Stratos in our hand as well. You can keep the Clayman in your hand and then go for the normal summon of Solid Soldier and the special summon of Elemental Hero Stratos, which if you don't have Clayman, you can also search off of Stratos with this play here. And then also for the Link summon, you won't be able to remember if you use the fusion deployment, so these cards can either stay on the field for another fusion play, or you can have the option to have them just attack your opponent for more damage. But if you have the polymerization after searching with Elemental Hero Stratos, you'll use the polymerization and fuse the 2 together for the Rampart Blaster, which you will summon onto the field. And with these 2 cards set up in the graveyard, if you opened up a Miracle Fusion, you can activate that card, banishing the 2 cards from your graveyard to in turn summon another Elemental Hero Rampart Blaster onto the field, and that'll be 2 defensive cards you can attack into your opponent for 1,000 points each. If you were able to summon these cards out and not need the fusion deployment, because let's say you were able to search out Burstinatrix with a card that didn't restrict you, like a emergency call, you can then also link these 2 cards together to summon out your choice of Link monster. It can either be the Infernal Devicer if you wanted to use all 3 of your heroes to summon out your Extra Hero Dread Decimator for more power, because if you're pointing to your Elemental Hero Rampart Blaster, you have that option also. And then if you happen to open up one of the Honest Neos in your hand, when you power up your monster with Dread Decimator as well, you can swing directly with your opponent by discarding Honest Neos and hitting for even more damage with your Rampart Blaster. And once again, remember with the play an Elemental Hero Clayman on the field, when using your Clay Charge, when you set this card up for the damage, you'll have to reveal Elemental Hero Clayman to your opponent. So it's always best if your opponent attacks into Clayman with a monster you know that will take damage against your opponent, and then when your opponent attacks again, you'll attack and activate this card. But if you're playing against someone and they've played against your Clayman deck more than enough, they'll probably see the Clay Charge play going. That's why we definitely need to get more support in the future to directly support support Clayman. And here's hoping we do see more for it down the road. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, I can't wait to see what you all recommend for the next Elemental Hero deck. With all the playtesting I've been doing, I'm definitely leaning towards Elemental Hero Wildheart with all the different fusions it has, and just the overall support for the card. Having another one that's just one spell card we've gotten for it, but I definitely enjoyed seeing all the different fusion options we have for it. But I'd love to hear your opinion on what hero you would like to see next as well down in the comments. And as always, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.